What was that? Dude. What's going on, everyone? Back with another episode of Stuff and Things, bringing you another electric skateboard video. I opened this one in a mail time video a couple weeks ago. I said I was gonna do a review of it then, but some things came up and I ended up not doing it, which I'll kind of explain in a little bit. Today's board in question is this super bright orange board by enSkate. Just a quick rundown of the specs. It is a dual hub motor board. In the top speed mode, they say it should get about 7.9 miles, so pretty specific there, with a top speed of 20 miles per hour. It is of course made in China, so some of the parts are probably reused from other boards. You guys probably already know how I feel about boards like this. This board does have a couple extra features that some of the other Chinese boards do not. For example, it has some lights up front and in the rear here. And then probably the thing that sticks out most is this LCD screen on the front of the board here. This is basically like a heads-up display, a dashboard where you can see different stats of the board. I'll explain more about that later once we are outside riding, and I have an extra helper today. David's here.
So how about a little third-person view? Because dude, your videos where you're like just riding and holding the camera.
Super dangerous. I bring this camera like an inch away from the pavement.
So instead of that, I'm gonna ride behind him and try to film him while not paying attention to what I'm doing.
And then you're gonna crash and destroy my expensive camera. All right, let's go ride. All right guys, we're out here, and the first thing I want to explain is why I haven't gotten around to this video yet. So the controls of the controller and the board are kind of limited. Press a button to turn it on. One button on the remote will turn this on. You'll see the LEDs there, so you know it's on. And then you have a high and low mode selector here. Thing is though, when the board ships, it's in beginner mode. Other boards like the Boosted or the Evolve or other bigger brands, they obviously have ways to change the mode right here on the controller. However, this ships in beginner mode, and there are other modes to get into, except you can't get into them without an app. So the thing is, when it comes to apps and electric skateboards, they're good for showing analytics like an odometer for the Boosted. However, if you're getting an app for a board to control things like the settings and even using it as a controller, if you don't have this, it's kind of sketchy in my opinion. And the reason I have not done a video on this is because the app does not work on my phone. I download the enSkate app, it looks like this, and then when I go to pair a board, Bluetooth's on, I can see the board, but it doesn't connect at all. So because of that, I was not able to change any of the settings or anything. It was stuck in beginner mode until I took Dave's phone. He has an LG G6. I'm rocking a Pixel 2 XL. Maybe it's just something with the phones, but I was able to connect with his phone. Once I was in there, I was able to bump it up to the top speed mode, so that's what it's in now. However, I wasn't able to change the unit measurements. Right now, everything is in kilometers. I can't change it to miles. It's not like the end of the world, but it is a little bit annoying because I can't really control anything else with the board, especially with my phone. So with that being said, you will see the heads-up display here on the board. It is showing kilometers per hour. It also gives you a battery temperature, I believe is what that is, and then a battery indicator. The only other thing that you can do with the controller is switch it between high and low mode. So there's a beginner, an intermediate, and like a professional level in the app. So high and low mode, between those three selections, you technically have 6 different riding modes. I'm just gonna leave this in the top mode because that's what it's in and kind of stuck in if I'm not using my phone. And then I will leave this in high mode, and that's how I'm gonna be riding this thing for the whole test. All right, my Tracks app is on. Standing on the board for the first time. It's pretty stiff. It's kind of a weirdly shaped deck, obviously. The trucks are way too loose. I probably should have tightened them before we came out here, but let's do it. On. Was it? There's like a cruise control mode or something, and it was just stuck full blast. Not nice. I had that turned off. All right, so I was just going full speed there, and I let go of the trigger. It returned to normal, so it wasn't stuck forward, but it kept accelerating. And there's like a cruise control mode in the app. He was able to access it, but it didn't do anything, did it?
I don't know, I had it turned off.
Supposedly it's turned off, but the board just kept going, which is not safe. But I'm gonna pass the camera to you and see if I can actually get a feel for this thing.
Okay.
That was does a little bit better that time when I'm not holding the camera. The acceleration curve is kind of sharp. It's really slow at the beginning and then kind of ramps up pretty quickly. The brakes are also kind of delayed. It didn't really engage until I was pretty far back of the throw of the stick. Every board's obviously going to be a little bit different like that. It really just takes a little bit of getting used to until you find the riding characteristics of the board.
Yeah.
It was just stuck full throttle, and then I went to brake and it didn't do anything until I pulled it all the way back. Wheels locked up on the sand and just like spun me out.
Talon! What up, man? You know?
I'm still in high mode right now, going full speed. And I have 3 bars of battery.
Let it go and then do it again.
Still shouldn't do that.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't.
That's a nice turn. What's up?
Hey. Here's a top speed run with the enSkate versus the boosted board. Not even fair.
Dude, that Jeep though up there.
Does it look like I'm running? Now it's time for the brick and hill test. Typically, a lot of these boards that I test, I have faith in them whether I like them or not. I really don't have much faith in this thing right now, but we'll give it its best shot.
All right, so I've been watching these videos of him doing this hill and brick test. That is very violent.
It's violent. Yeah.
That is really violent. Like my feet feel like
Jello.
Oh my gosh.
This thing did not do that very well, by the way. Everyone within a mile radius had to hear that, because that was loud as shit. All right, let's talk about this thing. All right, guys, the enSkate after, how far do you think we went? 2.96 miles, max speed of 14.69. That's nowhere near 20 miles an hour. All right, I gotta be straight up. The controller or the connection between it, probably the worst part of the whole thing. You saw there a couple times when I would press this up to go, it's not getting stuck, but I don't know if it's like the cruise control mode or something, but the board would just keep going until I would pull back on the brake. It's obviously dangerous because as soon as you realize that it's stuck and you go to brake, wheels lock up and it like throws you off the board, as you saw. Dave's checking out the app right now. It's in advanced mode. Cruise control is off, right?
Cruise control is off.
Cruise control is off and it's still doing that. Under the cruise control function in the app, it says, for your safety, mobile app does not support this function. Please use remote control. So maybe that being stuck up is the cruise control. Anyway, besides the throttle issues, the brakes at first were not too bad. However, the more I was riding, I don't know if it's changing because it's like braking in, but it doesn't engage until you're way far in the back. And by the time it does, the wheels like lock up. I don't want to only say bad things about this board. The shape of it is pretty unique. It doesn't feel bad when you're riding it. It's smooth for the most part if you're on flat pavement, but when it comes to anything that has a little bit of a rough texture to it, like some bad asphalt or especially the bricks, the board vibrates like crazy because it's obviously super stiff. And I don't know if you guys can hear that LCD screen up front, but this thing rattles like crazy. It sounds really, really bad, but I don't know. That's just what it is. Dave just pointed out that there is grease like pouring out of these hub motors. I mean, that's not technically a bad thing. At least they're greasing it, but it might just be too much. All right, I don't want to go on and on about this board. I'm gonna let Dave ride it, who has now ridden a couple of my e-boards, so you have a pretty good baseline of what's good and what's not. Godspeed, sir.
Let's go. what just happened is I released the acceleration, and when I did that, this must have flicked back just enough to like set the brakes off, and it just like out of nowhere.
All the faster it goes. But hey, you know what?
Sorry?
At the end of the day, this is pigtail. Nice! Alright guys, we're back for both of our final thoughts on the enSkate. Before I get into this, I just want to say that I don't make these videos to purposely say that a product is bad. If you send me something, I want to test it and give you my most honest opinion. I want the product to be good. I wish the skateboard was good, but unfortunately, there's some things that I really just don't like about it. So we spent like the last 20 minutes reading through the instruction manual, which is actually written pretty well compared to some other ones that are in like Chinese and everything. But just the way the functionality was designed, it just wasn't executed very well. So the first thing being how it would get stuck and the throttle would keep going. Technically, that is their cruise control. So the board is on now, connected with the controller. If I hold the throttle up, eventually you will see this light blink. Now it's blinking, it's in cruise control mode now. Now to get out of it, you press up and then it turns off. But from my point of view, we were looking in the app and the cruise control was off. I was like, okay. But then underneath it, grayed out, it says that to just use the remote. It's a little misleading, but whatever, I guess that functionality technically works. If I was making a board, I would not put cruise control on it. It's a little dangerous in my opinion. Because what if you drop the controller or you're just, I don't know. But that also leads into the other thing is the brakes. I'm gonna read this verbatim out of here. Under riding instructions and tips, it says, emergency brake while riding with high speed is dangerous. You may need to rely on skating techniques like foot braking for a gentle brake. Makes sense, you should really be riding any electric skateboard with your regular skateboard experience. You should kind of always be under the assumption that brakes are not gonna work, so control your speed and be able to foot brake. If you're going down a hill, just keep that stuff in mind. But the way this is worded, it's like the brake is only an emergency brake. And it feels only like an emergency brake. Like when you finally get to the brakes, they just kind of lock up. That's why I got thrown off. You did once or twice. So the combination of those things, it's just weird. But what else would you want to tell people about it?
I mean, would I buy it?
That's the thing. The price right now on Amazon, I believe, is like $460, so around like $500. I can't recommend it. I can't do it. There are some good things about it though. Let's talk about the good things.
Yeah.
The deck shape, it's really weird, but it's really not that bad.
I actually kind of like it.
Yeah, my feet were kind of planted on it. It's kind of flat. There's really not a whole lot of concave to it, but it was comfortable to ride. On a smooth road, it was smooth.
It was actually like the rideability of it was actually pretty nice. Like turns well, it does everything that a longboard should.
We only went a distance of 4.87 miles.
That says technically 25%.
Okay, so there's 25% left. I think they got the range right. We could probably get to about 7 miles, I think, if we kept going.
Yeah.
I just really don't have a desire to keep going. Max speed though of 14.69 like it was at the first check-in. Obviously a lot slower. I wasn't really concerned about top speed. I was worried about not dying with the whole cruise control and emergency brake thing.
Here's the thing, let's take it this way. So you've had the opportunity to compare this to every other e-board that you've ridden, right? If you were to take all of those out of the equation and put this in the hands of somebody who's never ridden an e-board before, they might not realize a lot of these things. The one big thing I would say is make sure you understand that the brake is aggressive and be prepared for that. And the other thing is be prepared for the cruise control.
If you were putting this into someone's hands who has never ridden one before, I could see that it is nice.
Yeah, they would like it. There's lights.
The lights, yeah, the lights, that's a cool touch too.
Cool.
Hit the button and turn those on. Boom, that's convenient at night. It's really, really nice. But I make these videos to tell you guys my experience with all of these other boards that I've ridden. And for the price point and everything, there's definitely better options that I would recommend over this. So I think enSkate is on the right track, but much like another board that I reviewed in the past, I think they executed it poorly. There are just some things that could have been a little bit better, but that's it, that's all I got. Alright guys, that's gonna be it for today. If you have any questions on this board, feel free to let me know. I'll leave a link to where you can pick this up on Amazon as well as their website. If you're new to the channel, consider clicking subscribe because I make new videos every week. If you guys want more e-board videos, I can definitely make it happen. A lot of companies want me to give my thoughts on the boards and let you guys know what I think about them. And obviously, I'm not here to lie. I don't get paid to do this stuff. I'm just here to tell you how it is. And now Sting with a cut off their new album.
Take it away.
All right guys, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. I will talk to you in the next one. Peace.